NLE Choppa went from one of the most aggressive young rappers in hip-hop to talking about meditation, vegan diets, and spiritual energy. Just a few years ago, he was known for violent lyrics, chaotic energy, and one of the most explosive breakout songs the internet had seen in years. Today, he's posting about herbal medicine, detoxing the body, and protecting your mental health. That kind of transformation doesn't happen often in hip-hop, and it left a lot of fans confused. Some people supported the change, others thought he had completely lost his edge, and many wondered how someone who built his entire career on aggressive street energy suddenly started speaking about peace, spirituality, and self-growth. To understand that shift, you have to go back to the beginning, before the fame, before the millions of views, and before the transformation. NLE Choppa was just a teenager from Memphis trying to find a way out. His real name is Bryson Lashin Potts, and he grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, a city that has produced some of the most influential and raw rap artists in the country. Memphis has always had a gritty music culture where artists often reflect the environment they grow up in, and Choppa was no different. Like many kids raised around street culture, he was surrounded by violence, tough situations, and the kind of lifestyle that heavily influenced the music he would later create. But unlike many rappers who slowly build momentum over years, NLE Choppa's rise happened almost instantly. In early 2019, a video started spreading across the internet. The song was called Shotta Flow, and it didn't sound like anything people were expecting from a new rapper. The beat was aggressive, the delivery was explosive, and the energy in the video felt almost uncontrollable. Instead of looking polished or overly produced, the video looked chaotic and raw, with Choppa jumping around with his crew and delivering his lines with a kind of intensity that immediately caught people's attention. The internet reacted fast. Within weeks, the video had millions of views and people were sharing the song everywhere. Shotta Flow quickly became one of the most viral rap songs of the year, and suddenly record labels were competing to sign the teenager from Memphis. For most new artists, this would have been the easiest decision in the world, but Choppa surprised a lot of people by not immediately signing a traditional record deal. Instead, he negotiated a distribution agreement that allowed him to keep a lot more control over his music and his brand, which showed that even though he was young, he was already thinking about the business side of the industry. As his popularity exploded, he continued releasing more versions of Shotta Flow, each one pulling in millions of views and keeping his name trending across YouTube and social media. The aggressive style, the confident delivery, and the chaotic energy made him one of the most exciting new artists in hip-hop. Soon he was performing at major festivals, collaborating with bigger artists, and building a fan base that loved the intensity he brought to his music. By 2020, NLE Choppa looked like he was on a clear path to becoming one of the biggest young rappers in the industry. His songs were getting hundreds of millions of streams, his fan base was growing quickly, and his image as a wild, high-energy rapper fit perfectly into the modern rap scene. But while the public saw a rising star who seemed to fully embrace the aggressive lifestyle that hip-hop often celebrates, something very different was starting to happen behind the scenes. As the pressure of fame grew, Choppa began questioning the path he was on. Fame came fast, and with it came expectations, criticism, and the constant pressure of living under the spotlight at a very young age. In interviews, he started hinting that he wanted more out of life than just fame, money, and the typical rapper lifestyle. At first, those comments didn't seem like a big deal. Plenty of artists talk about personal growth while still keeping the same image. But in Choppa's case, those thoughts would soon turn into something much bigger, because not long after becoming one of the hottest young rappers in the industry, he began going through a transformation that nobody saw coming. Instead of leaning deeper into the aggressive persona that helped make him famous, he started exploring spirituality, meditation, and alternative lifestyles that were completely different from the image fans originally connected with. And when that transformation started becoming public, the reaction from fans was intense. Some people respected the fact that he was trying to grow and evolve as a person, but others felt like the rapper they had originally supported was disappearing, and that moment would become one of the most unexpected turning points in his career. Because the same change that helped him grow as a person would also start to change the way the rap world looked at him. As NLE Choppa's fame continued growing after the success of Shotta Flow, most fans expected him to double down on the image that made him famous. The formula seemed simple: aggressive music, chaotic energy, and the kind of street persona that had already proven to attract millions of listeners. But instead of going deeper into that image, Choppa started taking his life in a direction that nobody in the hip-hop world expected. Around 2020, he began openly talking about mental health. The same rapper who had built his career around songs full of aggression and street energy was now posting videos about spiritual awareness and healthy living. The contrast was so extreme that it quickly became one of the most talked about changes in modern rap. Social media amplified everything. Clips of Choppa talking about spiritual energy and herbal remedies started circulating online, and reactions were mixed. Some people respected his growth, but others mocked him, saying he had completely changed the image that made him popular in the first place. In hip-hop, authenticity is everything, and when an artist changes too quickly, fans often struggle to understand it. But Choppa didn't seem interested in going back to his old image. Instead, he leaned even further into his new lifestyle. He started promoting natural remedies through his own herbal brand and regularly spoke about protecting mental health and avoiding negativity. He even said that some of his earlier music no longer represented the person he was becoming. At the same time, his music career was entering a different phase. While he continued releasing songs and albums, the viral explosion that came with Shotta Flow was difficult to replicate. That's not unusual in the music industry. Many artists experience their biggest breakout early in their careers, and maintaining that level of hype can be extremely difficult. Still, the narrative around Choppa began shifting. Instead of being seen purely as one of the most aggressive young rappers in the industry, he became known as the rapper who had dramatically changed his lifestyle. Some people admired it, while others believed the transformation had taken away the edge that originally made his music exciting. And then there were the moments that reminded people of his past image. Even while talking about peace and spiritual growth, Choppa occasionally found himself in situations that brought back the aggressive reputation he once had. There were online arguments, confrontations caught on camera, and moments where fans questioned whether the transformation was fully genuine or still evolving. This contradiction became one of the most interesting parts of his story. On one hand, he was clearly trying to change his mindset and live differently, and on the other hand, he was still a young artist navigating fame, criticism, and the pressures of the rap industry. As the years went on, Choppa remained active in music, but his career trajectory looked different from what many people originally predicted. Instead of simply becoming another rapper focused on chart success and mainstream dominance, he started building an identity that mixed music with personal philosophy and lifestyle changes. For some fans, that made him even more interesting. For others, it created distance between the artist they originally supported and the person he was becoming. But the biggest question surrounding NLE Choppa today isn't whether he's still relevant. It's whether his transformation represents a long-term evolution or just another phase in the unpredictable journey of a young artist who became famous almost overnight. Because in hip-hop, very few artists completely change their image while they're still rising. And the ones who try often face the biggest challenge of all, convincing the audience that the change is real. As the years passed, the transformation of NLE Choppa became more than just a phase. What initially looked like a sudden shift in lifestyle slowly turned into a core part of his identity. Instead of returning to the aggressive image that originally made him famous, Choppa kept leaning into the idea that growth and self-awareness were more important than maintaining. He wasn't fully the same artist who exploded with Shotta Flow, but he also wasn't abandoning the rap world entirely. However, the music industry can be unforgiving when it comes to momentum. Viral success is one thing, but maintaining dominance for years is a completely different challenge. While Choppa continued releasing music, the explosive viral moments that defined his early career became less frequent. The internet moves quickly, and the new artists are constantly emerging, each one chasing the same attention that once launched him into stardom. Despite that, Choppa managed to maintain a strong fan base. Millions of listeners still follow his music, and his presence on social media remains powerful. Instead of relying purely on chart success, he began building a broader identity that includes entrepreneurship, wellness products, and direct communication with fans about personal growth. One of the most interesting aspects of his journey is how divided the reaction has been. Some fans believe his transformation shows maturity and self-awareness that is rare in the rap industry, especially for someone who became famous so young. Others feel like the change softened the raw energy that originally made his music exciting. But in many ways, that tension reflects a bigger conversation happening in hip-hop today. For decades, the genre has been associated with aggressive lifestyles, street credibility, and a certain image of toughness. Artists who try to step outside that image often face criticism from fans who expect them to stay the same forever. Choppa's story challenges that expectation. Instead of pretending to be the same person he was at 16 or 17 years old, he openly shows that he's evolving. And while that evolution may not always align perfectly with the expectations of the rap audience, it represents something that many artists struggle to do publicly: change. Whether that change ultimately helps or hurts his career in the long run is still unclear. The music industry rewards consistency, but it also values authenticity. If fans believe the transformation is genuine, it can create a deeper connection between the artist and the audience. Right now, NLE Choppa exists in a unique space. He's no longer just the teenage rapper who exploded onto the scene with chaotic energy, but he's also not completely removed from the aggressive style that made him famous. Instead, he sits somewhere in between, an artist still figuring out how to balance the person he used to be with the person he wants to become. And